Hello and good morning. My name is Sheryl Shaffer and I host and produce Veterans Helping Veterans TV, which is community educational access, normally filmed in a state-of-the-art studio in Palo Alto. But because of the pandemic, we are now doing all of our interviews virtually using video conference. So today I'd like to introduce my amazing guest, two incredible women veterans making a difference for veterans in their communities. And that really is our mission for VHV TV, is to present veterans making a difference in their community, whether they do it through government, whether they do it through nonprofit. Normally, we present nonprofits that have been established to make a difference for veterans. So on that note, I would like to introduce my first guest, who is Georgia State Representative Sandra Given-Scott. Thank you, ma'am, for being a guest on the show. Thank you. Then she served in the Army in logistics. After I got out in 1971, Sandra, and so I know you went in the 80s, right?
Yep, 1984, September 84.
So we have three different generations of veterans here, which in itself is part of what we're going to talk about today. So my very special guest, you're both special, but Master Sergeant B contacted me on the internet because she actually ran across the Veterans Helping Veterans TV hashtag, and she operates the Veterans Helping Veterans. So she contacted me and said, hey, what is it I have to do to be a guest on the show? I said, well, let's figure out how to do this. So here we are. So Master Sergeant, I would really like to open with you because I know you're an incredible veteran, and I know you've done something. I don't know if I've interviewed a woman veteran who's received a Bronze Star. So I know that's a big deal. So ma'am, if you could talk a little bit about your service, what you did, and how you received that recognition, that would be awesome.
Good morning, I'd be honored. I was stationed in Kabul, Afghanistan from November 2010 to November 2011. And during my extended stay in a foreign country, it wasn't nothing special, just that I always had the heart for giving to others. And when I got there, I noticed that there was a need for care packages for the orphan children that we protected while we was boots on the ground. So even though I was there to be close to the side of the general, when I had some spare time and free time, I always reached back to my family and friends in the States, say, hey, can you send me this? Can you send me that? Toys, gifts, things of that nature. And then what I did not use for the orphans in Afghanistan, I shared with the soldiers that were in the various provinces or districts in regards to getting them items that they needed. And so by the time I got ready to leave and they started giving out all those awards and things, they noticed that I was one of a few that had over 7,000 volunteer hours, because I also spent out of my own pocket money to have the ink cartridges and things that they had there shipped back to a center so they won't be used against us as mines and things to use to go against us. So that's why they gave me the Bronze Star, going above and beyond the call of duty.
Well, congratulations. And that is an awesome story. And I know one thing the military does teach us. And since we're all Army veterans here, they do teach you to think of your team members before you think of yourself.
Absolutely.
And absolutely. And that is exactly what you both have done. And that is really, when we first talked, Master Sergeant, when we first talked and you said, check out your website, I did, because you're still living a life of service. And this is one of the reasons we do our show, is I present veterans who not only joined the military and were successful in that career, but when they got out, they wanted to find a way to make a difference for other veterans. Now me, this is how I do this. because I'm 73 years old. I don't want to leave my house, not with everything going on in our world these days with the variants and all that. And I don't have to drive to Palo Alto. So I just do everything through this medium. And for me, it's a godsend because it allows me to be creative. And so we're going to switch gears here just a little bit, Master Sergeant, because I would like to ask Sandra how she went from being in the military to becoming a state representative, because I'm sure that's a pretty fantastic story in itself. And she's an educator and a teacher. And those are careers where you give back. So, ma'am?
Yes. Upon getting out of the military, I decided that I would become a teacher. So I went to school and got the certification and became a teacher, and been teaching since 1992. I've been a teacher. Once we left Germany, we came to Fort Stewart, and that is where I got my teacher certification at Armstrong State University. And now we live here in the Metro Atlanta area. But being a teacher, my first public service was on the Clayton County School Board, and I served there for a couple of years and then went on to join the General Assembly. My active service is because I'm a person that loves people. I love doing for the people. And I felt that it was some way that being in the legislature, that I could bring the information back, give it to the people, something that have not been done prior with my knowledge, giving the people something that will be able to help them to live life a little bit easier. So being a state representative, I have the goal of reaching people around my district as well as the states, and providing legislation that will help impact their lives, and definitely with the military. My main focus of my legislation, I focus on my senior citizens because I feel that seniors have worked, they have done their job, and it's time for us to give back to them and give them what they need in order to live life more abundantly. And children, of course, children education is one of my key areas, and the military, because I am a veteran and I know lots of veterans. It is my duty to make sure that the veterans are taken care of. And there's a lot of work to do, still a lot of work to do to get the veterans everything they need here in the state of Georgia. We say Georgia is the #1 place to do do business, but I want Georgia to be the #1 place for veterans. And so we still have a lot of work to do.
Well, that's a perfect segue into, since we have 3 different generations of veterans today. Back when I was in the Women's Army Corps, and things were certainly not as open as they are now. In my time, if you had a child, you had to get out, you were given a medical discharge, and you could not be married and serve. Now, this was in the late, I'm a Vietnam era veteran, so different times, different attitudes towards women. And how did those changes from the old school Women's Army Corps, and I'm talking to you, Sandra, because you're the generation right after me, what changes did you see in the military? How did that, the integration, or the, what's the right word? When the Women's Army Corps was integrated into the full Army, a soldier is a soldier is a soldier. What changes did you see during your career? And here's the real question, what changes still need to be made?
Well, like I said, I joined the Army in 1984, and I can see it was a big change. My first duty station was in Korea, and Korea, it was a big change, women being in the military. I think that the changes came from, like you said, where you all couldn't have babies, to women having babies. They didn't need to be married. they could still stay in the military. Women getting married and still staying in the military. All that was a big change from your time to my time. Women really had a normal life in the military. We did the same thing as the men. You know, we pulled duty. We did everything. We went to the field. We slept in the field. We did all of that just as the men did. You know, there was no difference. At that time, we could not go into combat related MOSs. We still stayed into, you know, just the general thing. But over the years, over the last couple, 2, 3, 5 years, we have seen where women are now going into combat fields. They are now could go into infantry. They could now become rangers. So all of that have changed with the times and where we are headed to in this 21st century in the military. They're looking at women as equal as men in the military. So that is something somewhere we have seen the change take place. It's no just men do this thing in the army. You have women and men.
Well, and that it really is, I think the military had to do that because it's documented, and we all know this, that women add incredible expertise and intelligence to the 15% of their population that currently serves in the military, and the military could not function as well as they do without women in those roles, correct?
That's right. You know, we need women in all of the roles because we know that women, we truly are the backbone of this country. We are truly the backbone of all professions, women, and so therefore we need women, and we need women to be more active in the military, as well as we need more women promoted to the highest ranks in the military. That is still a level that we must get to. We need more women generals and 4-star generals, 2, 3-star generals. We got to open up the doors of the military so that we can have this co-equal branch. It shouldn't be more men than women. We should have an equal branch of generals and so forth. It is time for women to move ahead because we are, as I tell people, it is our time, and it is time for women to strive, not only in the military, but in life in general. It's time for women to take our rightful place.
Equality in the military really reflects equality in our society. And we cannot be truly equal between men and women and all the races until we can figure out how to do that successfully in the military. And once you do that, the people that have experienced that and they get out of the military, they bring that back to their communities, right? Because the whole idea here is you think of others in your team before you think of yourself. And Master Sergeant B, I would like for you to speak to that. Since you have been in combat, I would like for you to speak to that. I never was in combat. I served at Fort Knox, Kentucky. I worked as a personnel specialist. I was really a mad demon with the IBM select file typewriter and the 201 files. I was really good at being a file clerk.
Okay.
But going into combat, talk to me about that and what that was like for you.
Okay. I came shortly after Representative Scott Givens in regards to serving. I came in 1986 and I retired in 2016. So the difference been in regards to what I got a chance to see from the time that I joined and to the time that I actually was boots on the ground was totally different in some aspects in regards to women being integrated into the military full spectrum. I know that in the past, like you stated, that we were not allowed to be boots on the ground. And I think with the 9/11 attack on US soil, changed the mindsets because not everybody was raising their right hands to say, I want to go, I want to support. So they had to utilize everybody in regards to all the United States Armed Forces branches. And when they fell short on recruiting, then they allow the females to step up to do what we have already been trained to do. And we always want it to be equal. We don't want to be separated. We want to have the same opportunities that the men do and to show them that we can do. So when I was in Afghanistan, I was also able to see the female engagement team in Afghanistan, which was all females deployed to a certain area to interact with the locals to find out who is our real enemies and bring that information back to us. But they was also there to safeguard the female and the children, because majority of those people that were boots on the ground were not always friendly to the women and the children. So that's why they stood up the engagement team. And I liked it, that assignment, better than I liked it, my state's assignment, because I got more hands-on with the locals and was able to interact with them and to learn that they're not always a threat. It's just that some people there were trying to go after the crops that they had there to make that big money.
We see the organization in the back, the Southern Crescent Veteran Services. And can you talk to us about that? How you started that, why you started it, and the impact that you have in your community? Because I've been to your website, I've seen your pictures, and it looks like you really provide an invaluable service to your community.
Well, thank you. Southern Crescent Veteran Services was started back in 2018 because we noticed that with your traditional veteran service organization, yes, they will step up to help, but they had restrictions and limitations. And what I mean by that is that if the veteran who is in need was not honorable discharged, they won't help. If a veteran who is in need was not a part of their organization, they would not help. If a veteran who was in need was not within their local community, they would not help. So Southern Crescent said, let us be that gap, because we'll help all veterans as long as they have a DD-214 that showed that they were active duty and that they do have a need, and we can verify that need. So we step in to take action.
And we need to make that distinction, because there are some people may not know that there are different types of discharges. There is general under honorable conditions. There are different types of discharges that limit the benefits that a veteran can get. A lot of that stuff is changing with new laws, and they're making it more, I don't want to say easier, that's not the right word. They're trying to make it more inclusive, that's the better word, with people that may have gotten some type of negative discharge before, and now they're trying to change the rules so they can get them into the veterans, into the VA system. Because my background was, when I got out of the Army, I was very lucky. I got a job working for the EDD, which is California Employment Development Department. And I worked many years processing unemployment insurance claims, but my last 12 years of working for EDD, I was the local vet rep in San Mateo County. My job was to get jobs for veterans. I've never had a better job than that. It was the most rewarding and most fulfilling job. But a lot of what I did on the job is the same thing you were doing in your nonprofit. And that is finding unique ways to outreach to veterans. And that's part of what I would like for you to talk to us about, is what are some of the unique ways that you are outreaching to veterans, and what type of services do you provide those veterans?
Some of the services, same as the traditional veteran service organization, like temporary or emergency housing, utility assistance if they're falling behind, food assistance, job unemployment, social outings, be it fishing, hunting, golfing, surfing, those type of things. We also assist them if they have a VA claim and the VA claim is rated low, to try to increase their benefits as well.
Now, how do you do that? Do you do that with a lawyer who specializes in VA claims, or do you have access to other experts that can assist you?
I have access to other experts that assist me, because we believe in partnerships within the community. So we don't have the staff that handles whatever the veteran need. We partner with other entities in the communities to get it done.
And what are some of those entities that you partner with?
I partner I partner with the American Veteran Post 911, which is in Southwest Atlanta on Camilton Road. I partner with the VFW Post 5680, which is in Fairburn, Georgia. And I partner with the Veteran Support Group in McDonough, Georgia, because all of them have veteran claim reps.
Very good, because for a lot of people that don't know what the VA claim reps do is they actually advocate on behalf of the veteran who's trying to get a disability rating through the VA. And like you said earlier, if they are initially rated lower, there are ways, because we all know as we get older, things happen.
I have a vast amount of legislation every year that I put forth for veterans. And this last cycle, I did put together a Veterans Bill of Rights, as well as uh, a Military Fair Housing Act, um,
That's why she's my
try-
Shiro.
to try to provide some relief for our veterans. Um, I will say that Georgia say they are the number one state to do business, but I'm gonna tell you, it's hard, and it should not be hard for Georgia to be the number one state to help out our veterans. We do not get the help that we need from the state level for our veterans. Um,
Why
I
is
have
that?
to fight. I have to fight with legislation for veterans housing because the members of the committee, and I am on the Veterans Affairs Committee, it took years to get there, but I am on it. But I have to fight members on the Veteran Affairs Committee, and I'm gonna talk about even the women that sits on the committee. I think I was the first veteran in the General Assembly, and I was not on the Veterans Committee. I kept asking until I got on it because I was the only veteran in the Georgia General Assembly in the House of Representatives. So I was able to get on to the committee, and then I have to fight about why veterans need housing. Why should a veteran have housing over a woman with children? Number one, that veteran have fought for you. We are veterans. We shouldn't have to battle between who should be the first one to receive housing. These veterans have fought, they have given their life, they have sacrificed for this country, and at least we can make sure that they have a place to lay their heads. We know that veterans come home from, you talk about a veteran that have been in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wars, something that we would never even thought of. Even the ones that have gone to one or just was there. PTSD is real. You know, that is what I tell the people in the job. It's real. It's not anything. It's not a joke what people putting on. You know, it's just like back in the day during the Vietnam Wars and all that, when soldiers come back and our government don't really take care of them. We have the same thing going on today. And we constantly put in legislation to make it right, not only for that veteran, but for that veteran family. Because if a veteran is married, that wife and those children, they're just like their veteran. They are sacrificing every day. They're giving up something every day so that we can have a, a better life here in the United States. So I put forth legislation, but I get a lot of kickback from legislators to why a veteran need this? Why should a veteran have housing? It should be an understatement. But you know, I just continue to put the legislation in year after year, and hopefully one day that we will get people that understand worth of a veteran, understand the sacrifices that our veterans have made, and understand that we're not asking for anything out of the blue. We're just asking for what should be rightfully ours, a place to lay our head. And because
Exactly.
you know, once a veteran gets settled and they could work on and they could get their VA benefits, they'll be able to live. They'll be able to live a normal life. They'll be able to move forward in life, and one day be able to give back to others and do things for others along the way. They just need a start to be able to 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 get up and just to see life and be able to live life more abundantly. And I think that is something that the state should be doing. So, I have the legislation out there. All we need is for the General Assembly to act upon the legislation. And that is all we can ask for, because I hear the cries of my veterans. And that is how my legislation are drafted. When I talk to veterans, they say, Representative Scott, we need to see, can we do this? We need to see, can we do that? It is my job to put forth that legislation and try to get it through the system. Georgia, we still taxing veterans retirement. We have that legislation put forward. You go to Florida, they don't tax their veteran retirement. A lot of people came to Georgia because we had these great military bases around here, and so people retired here in Georgia in droves. Then you took everything away from them.
Right.
You took everything away from it, and you just left the veterans out. And now we have to struggle to get other health care assistance and all of that. Just put it like when we could just run up to Fort McPherson to the Veterans Clinic, and we could just do the things from there. And the struggles that we have with the VA, it just put a lot on veterans. But people came here because they saw this as a military friendly place to live. Then you got rid of the military bases. We don't want to stop taxing retirement benefits, in which we should. That should be a no-brainer. The legislation are out there. So we just need for the General Assembly here in Georgia to understand that this is something that must be done. We must stop taxing the military retirement. We must make sure that our veterans have military fair housing, that they do more to assist our veterans with housing. It should just be a no-brainer.
Okay, well,
the way that you can prevent a veteran from becoming homeless, if you know they have served in a war era and been boots on the ground, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna have either some mental health challenges or some physical challenges. Instead of fighting or making them prove that they have these issues, go ahead and grant them 100% of disability. So that way they will have the funds to go back to their families and say, look, I need some help, but it's gonna take me time to get back to where I was before I left you. And then when they get the help, and then you can say, well, they may not have PTSD, or they might not have MST, or they may not have whatever, and start to reduce the ratings. But 9 times out of 10, every veteran that been boots on the ground, they're gonna have some form of PTSD, TBI, or some invisible wounds. So grant them the 100%.
Thank you very much, Representative Scott. That's a perfect way to end the program. Thank you very much, Master Sergeant B.